This channel does not promote or encourage any illegal activities. All contents provided by this channel is meant for educational purpose only.
Let's have a little bit of this. I get the big Bob Marley joint. Look at this. Here, try this.
Carl, I really don't do this very often.
You're gonna love this. Is dynamite hack. Watch out for this.
Maybe one drag.
Say you're in a Caribbean bungalow and you're kind of high. An exotic woman on the bed.
It's a little harsh.
Now, is she just the high-priced whore you asked for? Or is she an assassin?
Here. Cannonball. Right back.
Here's room service. Who ordered champagne?
How should I know?
Exactly. You're baked. You can't remember.
And then one more, he's right on top of Cannonball. Cannonball coming.
Point is, you come out of the John waving this around, nobody's gonna bug you for a tip.
Bum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum. Boston, John Black. Iraq vet, his goddamn self, Army vet. What's going on, everybody? Got a couple of things. First, I went back and Hippie may be joining us. By the way, I don't know. He said he may. But what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, I went back. I went and watched Todd's driving to Fort Knox thing. What a fucking clown that dude is! Holy fuck! He's in his mid-50s. He's so tiny and looking in that car, and then he frames himself in the fucking picture that he's like down here. He's like, dude, so fucking funny, man. Ooh, like I don't think we'll cover him anymore, but like I don't know, this is really funny to me. But good on him. He got 8,000 views, and he's a 55-year-old dork with no job, no degree, no anything, no past. Threatening dudes on the internet. Oh my god, the way he talks about violence just makes you're like, well, you've never actually been involved in any real violence. Speaking of that shit, what's going on, Joe? Speaking of that shit, right before I came on, I saw Anti-Hero. Shit, I forgot my damn ashtray. I saw Anti-Hero podcast just put out a thing they did on Shrek. I did not watch it, but what's going on, Mr. Nobody? All right, I'm gonna play a little bit of this. This is actually, hold on, you guys just hang tight. Let me get here. This way you guys can feel like there. I'll be back in just a sec. Sorry, I gotta get this ashtray with my nose. Okay. All right, enough of that shit. Just making memes, crushing the game, killing the game. God damn. I actually even put a little product in. I can't get it to. Maybe if I stop fucking with it. Hey, Rabbi Aaron. Okay. So I want to go over some more of this Bustamante dude. There are a couple of things because it just interests me. For one thing, I mean, I do believe he was CIA. I believe he was in the CIA. Some of his stuff kind of doesn't add up a little bit, but he was on with this John. I always mispronounce John's name. Kiriakou, who is a legit dude, went to jail for leaking the enhanced interrogation stuff. The CIA was doing black site shit. So Bustamante says something, Bussymante, that's not original. Nate called him Bussymante. It was pretty funny. But he says some things and he kind of gives some insight into what he was doing. And it sounds like he was just a poke. But I want to play some of this, this is a quick 30-second thing. Kiriakou. I know. I always John. We had talked about this guy. What's going on, AVN guy? So the difference between John and Bussymante is a ton. Just the way they carry themselves, the way they compose themselves, the way they talk about things. But let's just watch Andrew mention
topic.
Sure.
So,
because he's not bullshitting. He's not talking to some podcaster that he feels like, okay, I can kind of lie or obfuscate or kind of lie through omission stuff. He doesn't do a lot of lying through omission. He just kind of says some shit. But he knows John is the real deal. And so he's a bit more precise on his telling of his career.
to start out the podcast, can you guys just give like a brief 20, 30-second background on your involvement in the United States government and the CIA? Andy, you want to start?
Sure. So I started with the U.S. government when I was 18 years old. I was recruited in the Air Force Academy, graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2000.
It's a weird way to put that, right? It's like how Todd's like, I worked for the government. It's like, no, you were in the military. There's a huge difference. There's a difference in connotation and there's a difference in job, but whatever. Here we go. So he was an Air Force. The things that he says, the Air Force, being an Air Force officer and some other shit makes it tracks. He's a pussy. GR, Marine vet, Iraq vet, his goddamn self. Motor T. If you can't truck it, motherfuck it. Let's go with that one. Well, yeah. I was the closest I've ever. I didn't know John. I didn't work around him at all. I was involved in CT, not kind of at the national, well, not kind of at the national level. By when he got put in jail was what 2012 or some shit like that. I was trained by a dude who was on the Abu Zeta hit when he was in Pakistan. That's the closest I've come to him.
3, went on to become a U.S. Air Force officer, nuclear missile officer, learned how to fly, then got picked up by CIA.
Whoa, what? You learned how to fly? Like you became an Air Force pilot? You were an Air Force nuclear missile officer? I don't know. Hey, what's up, Chris? Yeah, something like that, like 2 years in prison, basically. But listen to what he says. He's like, okay, I was a
Force Academy, graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2003, went on to become a U.S. Air Force officer, nuclear missile officer, learned how to fly, then got picked up by CIA coming out of the military in 2007, where I spent 7 years working with the National Clandestine Service as a staff operations officer, certified or who went through the FTC program, and then left CIA in 2014.
So it's weird the way he puts that, right? FTC is the Field Tradecraft course. They changed it to OTC, the operations training course. I never went through it. I did get certified in the human targeting officer training course. HOTC, I think is what they called it. It wasn't at the farm. I did it through DIA. But notice how he started to say, I'm certified, and then he said, I went through FTC. Back in the day, I think they were still calling it FTC back then. Yeah, and I'm not saying he's...
Yeah, good.
John?
I was recruited into the CIA in graduate school, 1989. Started 1st of January, 1990 as an analyst. Spent my first 7 years in analysis, all in the Middle East, served overseas, learned how to speak Arabic, then switched to not just operations, but counterterrorism operations in what was then the Directorate of Operations, now the National Clandestine Service, and specialized in counterterrorism operations in Athens and the Arabian Peninsula, then went to Pakistan after 9/11 as the Chief of Counterterrorism Operations, back to headquarters as the Executive Assistant to the Deputy Director for Operations, and then I finished out my career at the UN in New York.
And then the end of your career.
It's also interesting, right, to see how John goes through that, and he's like, I was here, and he's saying I was in places, like if he was at, I don't know, it's just weird the way the other guy doesn't say anything ever. Okay, so we got that, right? So now I do want to show you what a CIA staff operations officer is, because that's what Andrew's saying he was. He was a SOO. It's a civilian officer who plans, guides, and supports intelligence collection, counterintelligence, and covert action programs. It's acting as a vital link between CIA headquarters and field operations. These officers develop expertise in... Wait, I did change it, right? Sorry. Let me make it... These officers develop expertise in specific regions or global issues. Counter nuke, counter drug, that kind of shit, terrorism, translate strategic goals into actionable plans to coordinate their plans. So problem solving, location and scope. Most staff operations officers work in DC area, the center. While their primary base is headquarters, SOOs may travel overseas or be assigned to short-term tours in foreign locations and support operations. This is AI. It's based off of the fucking CIA's webpage. You can go look it up yourself. And just because you are DC headquarters, by the way, doesn't mean you don't get sent off a lot. I've talked about it when I was going through their process. Again, I didn't get hired. They were hiring to be a paramilitary officer. They were going to hire me to be targeting, basically. Initially targeting, send me through the course and all that shit. Inshallah. Right, but I didn't make it. They were telling me, like, look, you're going to be based in DC, but you need to make sure you have your wife and your family know that you're going to be gone 300 days of the year, basically. Now, that's slight exaggeration, but kind of not, right? To be a targeting guy, because you're going to go forward to embassies and that kind of shit. So it's just because it says in these things that you are headquarters based, a DC based, doesn't mean you don't travel. That's when. So I'm not saying he's lying about this shit. I'm not really saying he's lying. There's some things. I believe he was in the CIA though. Okay, so I figure most people would. I mean, it's kind of early on a Monday morning. DP, what's going on? All right, so let's get to Andrew telling his story on his podcast. What he is a relentless self-promoter, and it's SEAL-esque in the way he operates, right? Tim Kennedy-esque in the way he operates.
Coming out of the military in 2007, right? We're in the middle of Iraq, Afghanistan. I've got medals in both wars.
Oh, that's right.
I'm.
Oh, I forgot. It's a holiday. Holiday, baby. I forgot it's a holiday. Every day's a holiday. Hey, shit can your job, everybody. You can be just like me. Every day's a holiday.
Sitting underground, babysitting nuclear missiles, and generally hating the fact that I have to shave every day, keep my hair less than an inch, and shine my shoes to be underground out of the sunlight 3 days at a time.
So what he is saying is it's really odd because he kind of talks about, by the way, he says in this, he's got medals from both Iraq and Afghanistan. He doesn't say what those medals are. They could just be expeditionary, whatever. I wasn't tracking that. I did watch GS's part of it when he got until he went into the PX. That shit was goddamn fucking hilarious. Who needs holidays, motherfuckers?
Right.
I was like, this is not for me. So, like most people, when they break up with a significant other, I start looking for something that's completely different than what I'm doing right now. Right. Okay. So right now I'm wearing a key around my neck that can destroy humanity. What is the polar?
By the way, getting into the CIA is no small feat. It doesn't make you specifically anything other than somebody who could get in, but they get a lot of applications and don't take a lot of people, and it's very small. It's very small. So to get into the CIA is a big deal. People give that shield a little too much fucking cachet in my mind. Oh my God. He is a tiny dude. He is a tiny dude.
Opposite of this. I mean, technically it was going and becoming a priest, but there was no way to do that. So the next best thing was to go join the Peace Corps. So I was like, oh, there we go. So I start applying for the Peace Corps.
It's such a weird. Why doesn't he just say he applied to the CIA? I don't know. You still have to apply. Even back then, by the way, you still had to apply.
And I start submitting my paperwork to resign from the military when my time is up. And in the process of applying to the Peace Corps, I get contacted by a CIA recruiter who's basically like, their opening line to me was, hey, we saw you were looking at this. We think you might be better at this. And that was kind of what got me started on the whole path.
Okay.
So that's my Reader's Digest version of how I went from, bastard child in Arizona to.
So you never did go to the Peace Corps. You ended up going to CIA.
Correct. You can't.
Did you know it? Dick bag.
So my experience, now this was 2009 into 2010, right? Yeah. They called, I applied, they called and said, hi, this is a federal agency, basically. They don't ever tell you who they are. You deal with this like outside entity kind of thing. So if they did anything, they wouldn't know he was looking at the Peace Corps. They don't need to. What they would do is look at who applied and what he was looking at. And then you put in I don't remember how many it is, but you put in like 2 or 3 positions that you would like to do.
Was CIA approached you? No, not right away.
No, because I was 27 years old, and like most people, when somebody calls you and they're like, hey, this is the U.S. federal government, we think we have an opportunity for you. You're kind of like, all the creative juices start flowing. You're like, I don't even have to say yes. Like, you're going to pay for a plane ticket and a hotel room and a rental car. I don't know what you were like at 27, but
to have a conversation. Let's
go for sure. Right. I don't say no to cool opportunities like this. It's like a hot chick showing up and being like, hey, can I come in for a drink? Yes.
That's how you get herpes.
It is how you get herpes. Also, this dude acts like picking up women. He is definitely that male feminist kind of dude who is like a predator. I mean, the way he talked about his wife, I felt safe. By the way, his wife, who they claim later, and this is a targeting, they were DC-based people. Sort of. In the government, you get more choice. But it can be, okay, your choices are quit or go. More or less. It can be. But no, you get a choice. It was not quite the military, but what I'm saying is they give you like 3 positions. I forget the ones I put in for. Like case officer,
reverse cowboy.
Yeah, reverse cowboy. The Lotus. I forget what it was, but I'm sure it was paramilitary officer, case officer, what do they call operations officer, and maybe something else, maybe. But again, I didn't get it. So, but they do. They call you. You set up. You take a test. It's by the time you get in front of a person, you've gone through. You submitted the application. They contacted you to see if you're interested. They send you a test, depending if you're going to be an analyst. I wasn't going to be an analyst. They send analysts certain things, a certain linguist or whatever, if you're going for certain things. For me, it was just a basic kind of like test. I forget what they called it. And then bench test or some shit. And then they contacted you again to set up a time to meet. So by the time you get in front of a person, you're 3 things deep. And then by the time you get in front of a one-on-one interview, you're like 4 deep, four stages deep into the process.
Yes, you can. I don't know where it's going, but I know where I hope it's going. So for sure, when I got my phone call, I was like, I really hope this is going to fast cars and tuxedos and I'm going to be a spy. But it wasn't until I actually got there for the first interview and after the first interview that they were like, we think you might be cut out to be a national clandestine service officer or an undercover CIA officer.
Like, what's that conversation? Right? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I say eat a dick
Yeah.
and continue to enjoy your dick eating experience.
Fuck you, DP.
No, that's one of those things I'm sure you absolutely, at no point do you think I've been preparing for this.
No,
Be like, what?
There's no confidence. The hardest thing for
Do
me.
you have the right file?
The hardest thing for me in business has been wearing that bravado,
Right.
Because like there was no bravado in me. Right. I'm having to learn that you have to turn that on publicly at times.
First
right.
thing that he said that I
it's
believe.
funny.
Right?
There's no bravado in me.
There is no bravado
No shit,
in him.
Sherlock.
There is I don't think he loves God.
That you say that because that first interview,
But he is missing tooth.
shit. That first interview, I was talking to a middle-aged woman.
I still have my
gray
wisdom
hair,
teeth. That's how many
wearing
teeth I'm not.
no shit, a sweater and Velcro
Do you
sneakers.
really?
Yeah.
No, I got those taken out.
So you're
That was the
missing
first
teeth
interview.
too, motherfucker.
So
she didn't scream.
What's that?
You're missing teeth too, then, motherfucker.
I am missing teeth. At least this one doesn't. Finally, this guy doesn't vote like me.
Scream CIA.
no, dude. So like I'm getting on a plane
You
in
thought-
Montana and I'm like, I'm going to go interview to be a spy, I hope. And then I get off the plane, I get to my hotel, which is a shitty hotel, in my small little economy size rental car. And I go to the
By the way, by the time I lived close enough. I drove. I drove, so I didn't fly, but they did. They get you a hotel room and everything. But by the time you go meet with them, you are aware. Now you may not know the specific position. They were kind of confusing on that. That I'm like, hey, I applied for like 3 different ones. Which one am I interviewing for here? I can understand that, but you know full well who the fuck you're interviewing with.
this nondescript building, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a spy. And I walk in and sit behind fucking Bertha. And Bertha's sitting there asking me questions about, tell me this thing that you were very proud of, and tell me this thing that was a great failure, and how do you feel about being dishonest? And I'm telling her the truth because part of me is just like, whatever Bertha has to offer, I don't want any part of it.
Right.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I have no problem lying to people. And yes, I think I'm better than most people. And yeah, I'm telling her all this stuff, right? And then at the end, she's like,
Well,
she no kidding, pushes back from her desk and pulls out a drawer on the side and then pulls out like a little manila folder and sticks it down on the table. And she's like, I think you might be a really good fit for the National Clandestine Service of the United States Central Intelligence Agency. And she opens the manila folder and it's a fucking flyer for CIA. And she pushes it across the desk. And she's like, this is what I think you might be a good fit at. What do you?
What's up, vet?
Oh shit. Army vet. How you doing, man? I feel like I haven't seen you for a little bit. I am still smoking on that apples and bananas. Getting high in the morning.
I'm still smoking on this beast. This is that 4-grammer that I've been smoking on for like 2 weeks. It's great, man. I don't have to worry about going to the store. It cost me $32 for 4 grams of 81% fucking purple skunk.
Have you thought about getting one of those fucking machines, those presses where you can just make your own?
No.
For that price, it's cheaper to almost to buy.
Dude, I've extruded and made oil, and that process is enough. And me being me, I'm gonna end up killing myself with the pressure cooker, you know. So I would just as soon just go to the store and grab it.
Well, hope you feel better, Misty. I grow the summer cold.
You think? And I like had that moment, that same cognitive dissonance that is in your head right now was in my head, and I'm like, this is a fucked up test. Like, are you telling punked?
First of all, it's not a fucked up test. That's a test. If tell us the time you failed, tell us about mission, you know, like those are very common fucking.
I took those tests in the VA.
It's also interesting that he's not talking about at least
special.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's not like it's unique. Now, look, the polygraph. And then when I went through, we had to run through scenarios. It was the second time, different agency had to run through scenarios, like recruitment type pitches. We had to go through a couple of scenarios. One was, I don't know how much I can talk about, but it's basically stuff you would run into as a handler.
Well, that's all that is it's performance-based interview techniques. That's all that is. Right. And it's used in that's how we hired people in the VA. Literally, I give you an entire scenario and then tell me about a time.
Yeah.
What did you do? What were the results? You know, I mean, that's just how it works. That's how we find out who you really are. You can bullshit, but when you get down into the weeds of those questions, you can't bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Yeah. Coming to think of it, for every government position I had to run through, well, that one, yeah, that one I didn't get either.
Yeah, I forgot about that shit. Holy shit.
I know. Yeah, it was a good memory. No, I think about that interview all the time. And because as soon as it was done, I went and told people that I knew in that world. And I was like, is this normal? Like, what the fuck? And I replayed the interview, the whole thing. And they were like, nah, I don't know what was going on. She didn't want to be there.
And I've been polygraphed before, but not by the federal government, for cop jobs. And when I was a bank guard downtown in St. Louis, and goddamn motherfucker, for that bank job, they were really big on stealing. Of course, it makes sense. Totally. And man, I fucking boloed. Have you ever stolen from an employer? Well, I've taken all kinds of shit from employers. I've never stolen anything from them, but you know, you acquire stuff when you work for a place for years and years. Yeah. It's technically not your property, but you don't work there anymore. You're not taking it the fuck back, whatever. But I had to frame that in a certain way. So when they come in, the examiner comes in, blah, blah, blah. You start talking. It was like, you know, I had a hard time on the stealing question. Cause you know what, let me tell you about the Army, you know, and I broke it down to the acquiring of equipment in the military.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that actually makes sense. Cause that was one of the questions we had. And that actually covers that. I was like, yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, let's see. I got one on a poly. It not a lifestyle, but a suitability poly. On the CI poly, it's pretty direct. Have you fucking worked with terrorists, basically?
Yes.
A suitability. Well, that hung me up on on a poly. So a suitability, and I said yes. Well, I was saying no. And they're like, you're pinging on this question, basically. And what they do is these things are used as an interrogation tool.
Yeah.
So they use it to hone in on something. And so they honed in on that. And I'm like, look, I did it for my job. And they're like, we know that. That's not what we're talking about here. So, you know, I'm like, okay. And then I could not stop thinking about that, anticipating that question every single time. I'm like, it's not fair now. I mean, I passed the poly. It was all good. They got it. But another one, they framed the stealing thing as, and time is something about time is a thing you can steal from your boss.
Time as a resource. Yes.
Time as a resource. Yeah. And so that was interesting. I was like, oh, that's funny. And it came up with the military too. And I was like, look, I know what you mean by this, but just to let you explain, obviously these people have dealt with military. Actually, this was a DOD organization. So I was like, is it the military? You're kind of skating at times, whatever, Again, they didn't count. They're like, that's not what we're talking about. I'm like,
It can't really be. And it's a flyer. Like, this isn't Legoland. You don't just open a manila and hand me like here's your timeshare brochure from CIA. That's not how this is supposed to work. This is supposed to be like hidden walls and special lights and laser beams and stuff, right? So no, it was apparently it was.
I thought they were going to Brusca, the Sicilian name. There was when I was first getting my TS clearance. And was getting a bit more, you get more scrutiny than a secret, obviously. Yeah, this guy Brusca, who was like a distant cousin, it wasn't really anything. But no mob ties. They have no mob ties. But they did ask, oh shit, Ted Dow. Goddamn, what's going on, buddy? What is going on? I'm not high enough yet to want to eat the gummy. That signals I need to smoke.
First thing I thought of when I saw it pop up, I was like, oh, Josh is gonna get hungry.
I'm not high enough. There we go. Let's get. How you doing, Ted, man? Fuck yeah. Get some. Billy Waugh is a legend. Is a fucking. That's what in my mind, the way my buddy, the Podgy video, the Marsoc dude, sniper, my buddy, and hippie when we were on, and I was like, I was looking at Billy Waugh, and he's like, yeah, okay, great, you're a hero, but you have no family, nobody's around you. You're in your 70s going to Afghanistan. And I was like, man, when Podge put it that way, I was like, fuck that. Yeah. Just I would read Billy Waugh's book. I would just read Billy Waugh's book. It's a very good book. It's a very easy read. He is a hero, a US fucking hero that not many people know about.
Real, even though I didn't really believe it was real. But yeah, so then she walked me through that whole thing, and that was how my process of application actually started.
How long were you there before you met your wife, right? And she was in the same line of work?
Yeah, so my wife.
So Billy Waugh started with the Maxov in fucking Vietnam. Like, he started back that far, and then he was surveilling bin Laden in Khartoum, and then he was in Afghanistan for GY. Dude's been everywhere.
My wife actually started at CIA the same day and in the same class of new recruits that I did. She was a different skill set, and she had taken her own path to get there. Like, my wife has a law degree, and she has multiple degrees, and she speaks multiple languages. She's actually brilliant, right? But yeah, we ended up landing kind of in the same. It's the room where new initiates are kind of sworn in. Is a big pavilion.
If you want to look up another badass,
if you look up CIA
from that time frame, not from America though, check out Keith Payne, probably one of the most decorated Aussies to ever serve. Not only does he have the VC, he's got a fucking American DSC and Silver Star.
Wow. You know what? I've been going down a rabbit hole lately is Rhodesia, the Rhodesian Bush Wars shit.
Oh, dude. When I was growing up,
I love that shit.
My dad used to bring home fucking Soldier of Fortune magazines from work. He worked with a bunch. He worked at an army. He was a civilian cop at an army depot. So there's all these Vietnam vets. So it was Soldier of Fortunes all day long, man. I was deep in that Rhodesia shit. That was like fucking like some sort of mystical, magical warfare to me back in the day.
Yeah, and the gear, yeah, for sure. And
Dudes
the
in
trouble.
booty shorts and boots with fucking goddamn FNs fucking mounted on the side of their fucking their fucking Outback trucks and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this stuff? This is great.
Those guys and the way they made their kit and everything, yeah. Also, I like getting deep on the intel war of the Troubles and the units and how the IRA both sides. I like watching and reading. I mean, I used to be way more knowledgeable on it. I pretty read up on it. I like to apply that at work. Rainbow
Catch me,
geeky
fuck
shit.
me's.
They were running around and catch me, fuck me's, and fucking bandoliers of hate and discontent.
Yeah.
CIA on like Google Maps, and you look down at it from the sky, you'll actually see a giant like building that's shaped like a golf ball. And that's what we call the bubble. It's basically where we go for all of our auditorium conversations and all of our what was it called in high school? Whenever you had like a speaker in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Whatever that term was.
Yeah. Like okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was that kind of auditorium, right? So we're in there with 250 different people, and some of them are covert operators, and some of them are tech officers, and some of those are targeters, and some of them are analysts, and we're all kind of getting swarmed.
It's really interesting how I don't know if he uses covert, because he kind of does covert and clandestine as interchangeably, which they're not. And CIA is one of the few organizations that has the ability, the authority to conduct covert Title 50 shit.
They're the same as in cover and concealment in our world are the same.
Yeah.
They're not.
Right. Hand in hand often,
Right.
But they're not.
Yes.
They're two different things.
Born in and doing our whole oath of allegiance to the American Constitution, and that's where we met.
There are other podcasts out there that have gone over your story. So if you can talk a little bit about, being in the CIA and basically how, you and your wife got to that point where you said, we want to have kids, we want to have a family. Like, we can't be disappearing for 6 months at a time or 2 years at a time. And nobody can get in touch with us. Like, so if you could go into, that whole thing, and if we could talk about that, then that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of cool is I get to tell a little bit of a different story this time because we've been in the process of writing and publishing a book.
Okay.
And our book has been picked up, and our book has been so we're going to be releasing in June of 2024 a new book that's under the imprint of Hachette Publishing Company, so the third largest publisher in the United States. And in that process, we've had to have a lot of conversations with what's called the PCRB, or the Pre-Publication Review Committee for CIA.
She got balls.
And
I like that.
They've cleared us to tell more of our stories, so it's actually going to be a different story. But long story short,
is it okay if he keeps that part in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
My wife and I both started CIA, and we didn't know what we were getting into. She was just trying to get a government job so that she could retire.
Right.
And the only organization she didn't want to work for was CIA. And I was trying to get to the Peace Corps.
Right.
Again, they're talking about the same time frame that I was dealing with them in general. And so I get it in different eras. Maybe they recruited more aggressively or did other things. In this era that he's talking about, that 2007 era, why would you wouldn't get pulled into the CIA unless you wanted to go to the motherfucking CIA. You weren't just like in the middle. Also, this couple talks about that they were used for bait. But then when they, depending on when they tell their stories, they were based in DC.
So we both came from very far flanks to end up at CIA.
Yeah.
And then because we were recruited as generalists, not as specialists, right? Because like if you're a Chinese speaker, you're a specialist in China. If you're a Russian speaker, you're a specialist in Russia. And if you know how to hack a computer, then you're a specialist in what's known as the Information Operation Director at IOD. So, there's all these.
That seems to me, I know I'm not trust me, I'm not a pro at any of this shit, but I think that cyber and information operations are still two different worlds. Again, maybe working hand in hand. They're not interchangeable.
And at that level, yes, you are right. And at that level, they are definitely separated. There is cyber and there's cyber command. There's a ton of cyber. Generally, cyber and that stuff falls under NSA stuff, whatever. But like, yeah, it's not information. He gets a lot of shit wrong.
Different specialists that come in. We were brought in as generalists, which basically meant that we were kind of farmed out to whoever needed help.
Right.
So for me, I'm a brown guy with like that looks ethnically ambiguous, and I was former military. So I ended up getting assigned to all the shithole places of the world, right?
Okay, a couple of things. They don't like hiring, truthfully. They do not, unless you're gonna go paramilitary, unless you're gonna go poo. In some cases, an operations officer, I guess. They don't want poo. I'm gonna go poo. They don't want you to be, they don't want DOD people. They really don't. In their minds, you have bad habits.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously, if you're going to be a paramilitary guy and you're a former shooter or something like that, yes, of course. But they don't want DOD people. It's hard to. They're a very young organization.
Any place where a brown guy can blend.
Also, why would you have that? You don't blend in by the way you look, man. You blend in by your trade craft, dude. That's how that shit works.
In and not be remembered. That's kind of where I ended up going. So I was doing a lot of counterterrorism stuff, counterproliferation stuff, counter narcotics stuff. My wife had multiple degrees and she was fluent in multiple languages. So she ended up doing a lot of covert influence stuff. She ended up doing a lot of covert.
In another podcast we're going to watch here in a minute, he says that she was a targeter. Now, I did influence operations. I did this shit. Jesus, fuck this. I need a new
I
audience.
love it.
I need a new fucking audience.
Covert action stuff. So we ended up doing these kind of non-mainstream things in a very elite organization. And it's important for people to understand CIA is a very large government organization. Not everybody does sexy shit. There's
Right.
a lot of
my hands.
mundane shit that people end up doing. And that was kind of where we ended up.
So I'm assuming that, you know, just because of my vast knowledge in watching movies, is that basically like it's not like they're sending you somewhere and saying, you know, you have to go infiltrate this or do this, but or they may be saying that, but what's really happening is you're going and you're
Tom Donovan coming in muy caliente. Con cinco puntos, cinco seis. NATO ammo drop.
Off topic. Donation for virgin olive oil for Stone Vet's hair. No doubt the only virgin Josh has ever or will ever get that close to. Fuck you, Tom.
So we're Tommy, you ain't getting your TV back. And fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Tom Donovan.
I'm not even giving Tom one of those today.
working a regular job.
Yeah.
And you're put into a position where you can either, you know, you can influence certain people, or you can hope to lure people into giving over government, government information for their government because they're in a good spot. So they're trying to put you in a spot.
Plus, the influence stuff also does fall under the technically it falls under the SAD stuff. A lot more than the shooter shit falls under the shooter shit's very minimal. And they have tier 1 shooter units that they can just put on shit.
I've watched Jason Bourne. I know that shooting is a massive part of this stuff.
Yeah. Massive part. If you're shooting your gun in an intelligence operation, shit is gone fucking south.
Have you ever seen The Saint? The Saint is a magician and everything, but he can still shoot like there's no other. Shootings, don't discount the shooting, bro. It's all about the shooting, and you got to be able to shoot little teeny tiny pistols like really long distances and knock down fucking people that are fucking like 300 pounds with one little tiny 380 bullet
or a helicopter.
Pew pew.
But you're basically still working a regular job. So you're there working a regular job, and that doesn't take 2 months. That could take 18 months.
Michael Rakers, MJ, coming in. Muy caliente también con Dios. Dos dolores. Oye, coño. Dos dolores.
To make your first special to get extra virgin.
Nah, Josh is just getting that straight up. This is the fat fucking olive oil for cooking.
I'm opposed to dildos.
Holy shit, that's the first urn I've seen in like 2 fucking weeks almost. Nice break.
It's going to get hotter. Cracker.
So it could be, you could be there for a year, working a regular job, hoping that you are able to put yourself in a position to meet people that you can build up a friendship with and convince, or at least whatever, you can build up some kind of their confidence in you, trust in you, that they will you can then approach.
It's called developing a source. I don't know if he corrects him. I haven't watched all of this. I don't know how much more of this we'll watch, but it's called developing a source.
Them, but that doesn't take 30 days.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, you're more right than you are wrong.
Okay.
For sure. We go and we go and we take on some kind of phony career. We're basically trained con men. Right. Or con women.
I like this.
So we go somewhere and
balls. I like that.
A cover is not, look, I'm not a cover
Hey.
expert, obviously.
Not a hair expert either.
I've never worked under any sort of cover, like deep cover, like a whole new thing cover.
Your tuna can can't catch deep cover. What are you talking about? You can barely get it in.
The fuck do I put up with all you people for?
I don't know. I wonder that every day, man.
But you're not conning people. The point isn't to con you. It's your cover. It's so you can work. It gives you a cover for status and a cover for action. This is not classified. They're just two different. You have a cover for status. Why are you here in country X? Why are you here in this country doing what you're? Why are you here? Blah blah blah. Cover for action is if me and Hippie's my guy, my source, or whoever I'm meeting, developing. There's a reason that cover for action. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why am I in this part of town? Why
I think the words you're looking for here is grooming, and I'm not okay with it.
No.
Your reaction was gold.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Build up a footprint that we belong there when we don't. And we can craft the footprint. We can prepare the battlefield before we go because we're the CIA. So we can create.
And by deep cover, I mean like full cover.
Fake online personas, and we can create fake, banking records and education records and everything for our alias before we actually land on site. So when we land on site, we know it's actually day one on site. But if somebody in that country, Mogadishu or Turkey, if they were to actually research us,
I know. Also, who the fuck flies into Mogadishu? I mean, I guess they do. I guess that's their stuff run out of there. I get it. That's why I'm saying when he mentioned Mogadishu, that's why I'm saying he's saying Falcon. I feel like, because to be perfectly honest, man, not agencies didn't really give that big of a fuck about Africa. And so you were getting a lot of, you get a young fucking chief of station like telling us, hey, you can't run this op with this guy in this country. He was like, I don't even know how many of you soft guys. It wasn't me. It was the case officer guy who was in front of him talking to him, but it was the shit we were running. But yeah, you get that shit happens. And so I don't know. I think he's talking about, I think he did do something, but
they would see like all this stuff that says
Right.
that we've been there forever. So we go there, and you're right. We basically live in an undercover capacity, which means that we live off of what we call the local economy. We become somebody in the local community, and we live that role.
That's what I'm talking about. This dude gets phrases wrong. A lot of phrases. Local economy, living on the local economy that's not what that means. It just means you're using their shit.
And we do a day job that's basically a 9-to-5 job, but we don't just hope to make contacts. Our job for CIA doesn't actually start until after the day job ends. So what really happens is you work a 12 to 14 hour day, 6 to 7 days a week. You live your lifestyle. We call it a lifestyle career because you don't really get days off. So you're doing your 9-to-5, and then during your 9-to-5, all that's there to do is just what we call, it's creating cover for status. You're there for a reason. The reason that you're there is because you work in a tire factory. So boom, you work in a tire factory all day long.
There you go.
But then by night, you actually go out there and you try to make friends with the people that you need to influence. Now, for me, a lot of my work was in the counter space, counter proliferation, counter narcotics, counter terrorism. So the people I had to...
Would you care to explain in very not Josh depths what counter proliferation is, in case anybody doesn't know?
Weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. So it could be any of the chemical or nuclear weapons. Now, to be honest, it would make sense that he would get hired as a former Air Force nuclear missile officer, whatever that all entails. I don't really know, but it makes sense. Then they would hire him and put him on a counter proliferation, track, because he dealt with WMDs. That would kind of make sense.
Like cozy up to were scumbags.
Right.
So my cover roles were oftentimes scummy cover roles, right? Because it's the kind of person who, whenever they sniff me out, I fit, right? I work.
So you don't have a cushion.
That's where he gets. That's kind of where he gets. It gets weird with him, and it gets bullshit.
Why are you gay?
Hey.
And I say eat a dick and continue to enjoy your dick eating experience.
And you're like, yeah, I do. That's exactly what I do. I'm gay. He's like, yeah, sure. I thank you. I will.
Job in the embassy.
So I was looking to drive sports cars and wear tuxedos, and I got recruited to sell fish tacos on a friggin' wheel cart.
You're pressing stuff in a factory like this, mother.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, what?
But
it's not sexy.
It's not, right? So
plus, why would you have somebody to do that cover? That would be a surveillance. It may be a surveillance cover that you have, but
so from 2007 to 2008, I was going through training. From 2008 to 2010, I'm basically in a variety of these just armpits of the world, trying to crack into.
So usually, from my understanding, again, I was not CIA, but from my understanding from friends, it's like a year. It's like a year probation, essentially. A year and a half probation, where you go and do a bunch of different things, and then they kind of see where they want to put you. It's like a tryout period, essentially. And
I also was not CIA. I was NCA.
Terrorist groups and trying to crack into proliferation circles and trying to get arms dealers and human traffickers and collect low-level secrets, because the government secrets are all your really elite stuff. The rest of us are out there just trying to keep Americans safe, prevent.
Okay, so what the way agencies collect on and what they collect on, and then what they can analyze and what they can publish, is very, very clearly delineated in the IC. And even speaking of CIA, so one of the times I went there was representing military intelligence, me and another guy, so they were like, okay, as they divvy out, hey, we have this problem set. Let's say counter-proliferation, right? Where at? Africa. We were the Africa guys. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. This level is a priority 1 for the administration. This is all arbitrary, whatever. Okay, who's going to collect on that? Okay, counterproliferation. Okay, that's going to be CIA and so and so, and that's literally how it gets divvied up. It gets tasked up in a room of about 15 people. I don't even know if there was 15 people in that room. Fucking 10 people in that room, and they just divvy up the collection. And in our case, for the Africa, Trans-Sahel, Sub-Sahara, and Northern Africa. That's kind of how that worked. That's how that worked. And you really stuck with, also, it's the type of person, I don't know what I can say on who they, as DOD entities, special operations entities, whatever, you could only collect on certain, if a guy is like, say, a cabinet member, like you just happen to fucking get, and you're like, I got a cabinet member on the fucking hook, you would not get what they call operational interest on that guy. You can maintain a relationship with the dude or whatever, but you would not be able to start to develop that guy as a source, because the purview of politicians is a specific agency's lane. Does that make sense? So when he's talking about all of this shit, like gun running and all that shit, that's military intelligence. All of that is military intelligence. DOD and MI together. We did this. Anything without a guidance system was any small arms, all that shit. We were the DOD's weapons expert. Not me personally, obviously. But yeah, all that shit was in our lane. And then there was some with the counterterrorism. CIA's counterterrorism did get into some things, but
bombs from going off in Boston and prevent, airplanes from crashing into planes in New York. And we didn't do very well at either of those, right? So that was the main focus of what me and many, many different CIA officers did until 2010. And in 2010, I got called in to a secret meeting where
I do remember hearing this part. This is about to be some fucking bullshit. Also, why would you get pulled into a secret meeting? You're already in a skiff, motherfucker.
My history of fixing shitty stuff turned into this opportunity to combat a major threat against CIA, which I didn't even know existed at the time. It was so compartmentalized, I didn't realize it was happening. So
Spectre.
Yeah. So that invitation, that conversation in 2010 completely transformed my entire career. And my wife and I were a married tandem couple. We had just gotten married like 2 months before that conversation happened. So we both got pulled into the same operation. And the operation was essentially
so this apparently is a pretty common thing in the agency, is to have officers who are married to each other. When I worked at the embassy in Venezuela in Caracas, there was
I get that part. That's just like anywhere else in the government. I'm just all right. What are the words I just said?
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Tandem couple, meaning they're both working, is what I mean. Is that
I know what you mean, and I know. Look, when it comes to words, man, and this guy spits out a lot of words, and I think he just likes to throw out words as fluff to make it sound like it's something that it's not. Is my point.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know if they do call it is a redundant. Yeah, it's very redundant, which also makes sense that they would maybe use it.
A way of creating a new operational methodology that would take CIA into the next 50 years of operations, right? Because we had been built around cold.
It's more your keywords, dude. Married. This is the AI overview. I never use this shit, but I don't give enough fucks about this guy to go any deeper. A married tandem couple consists of two individuals who are married and work together in some capacity, often with distinct roles and responsibilities that complement each other. This term is particularly used in the Foreign Service, where both spouses are Foreign Service officers. allowing them to be assigned to the same post. So it's more catchphrase shit, man. These are the kinds of things that always make me fucking question and doubt you. If you throw the catchphrases, look, I'm going to give you all kinds of catchphrases and I'm going to butcher them, except for like pissing and assholes, because that was never a thing in the military.
That was never a thing.
But you know what I mean? If those so people say stuff that catches my attention, that's when you go look at it. And then if it's another catchphrase, it's another catchphrase. So okay, cool. Is this from experiences or is this from Google?
Right.
You know, well, that's what makes me doubt you.
Yeah. I think I said it last night. Yeah, because that's the only time haven't talked about this guy outside of that. But is that he sounds like an unclassified PowerPoint of
you said that last night.
Yeah, wave top shit where you're like, okay, like you really could Google it. You could have an idea. You could have this level of knowledge that he has from reading Robert Baird. But which, by the way, speaking of my thing, just real quick I was deep into the process with these guys, and they give you a reading list and they want you to see, and they ask you about the books. How many did you read? What was it? Blah, blah, blah. And I was talking about how I was a big fan of Robert Baird, and he wrote See No Evil, Hear No Evil. He became a kind of a TV fixture. He was deep into the Hamas, Hezbollah thing. And I was like, oh, I really liked Robert Baird. And she worked Africa. She was the one who got me interested in working Africa, truthfully. She's like, a lot of shit goes on in Africa. And she goes, I knew Robert Baird. We don't need another Robert Baird running around here. And I was like, I can't believe how bad that backfired. I was looking like, hey, I fucking read all the books. I'm in on it. Blah, blah, blah. I knew Robert Baird.
You generied it. Yeah.
No, I really did. I mean, I wanted to laugh, but I was sitting there like, oh, because you're in this tiny little fucking office. It's a totally bland, nondescript office in this building. It's a controlled building. It's a controlled space, but it's nondescript in a nondescript area. And yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I just fucked this whole thing up. She was great. She was the one who specifically helped me get through the next phase. She was like, hey, use these keywords. These are the words that they want to hear. Blah, blah, blah. I won't tell you what they were, but the couple of, and she's like, and tell them this is your motivation they want to hear that kind of thing. And I was like, hell yeah. She was awesome.
That would have been the moment all of my sweat glands started fucking firing at the same second. As soon as you said that, instant drench. I mean, like, oh, fuck.
Right. And you're like, oh, no, I don't. And it throws you off. The other, in that same process, there was two dudes. This time there was two guys. And it was an older Cold War era case officer and then a younger SAD case officer. And they're like, guys, like the older guys running the meeting, and this dude's screening me for the SAD stuff, to be the paramilitary guy. And the old guy goes, okay, give me a time where you were in a foreign country or something, or you were in a place where you didn't blah, 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 and you had to improvise and do something. So I told him the story when I was in Jordan. I won't go through the whole story, but it's one of my favorite military stories that happened. Just a training exercise. They put me in the back of the truck. It was just me alone. And I told them this whole story, and it's like a 20-minute fucking story, especially with me, right?
Right.
And then the old guy looks at me and he goes, okay, so how does that apply? And the young guy's like, it applied because he didn't know the language. Like it kind of went through, and I was like, shit. Like that's my like Lawrence of Arabia stories. All right, where are we at? Let's get back.
Cold War tactics.
Right.
And then we had not really evolved past Cold War tactics, even though it was 2010. We were still leveraging Cold War tactics to fight terrorists, and it wasn't working. So they wanted us to create a whole new way of doing operations.
Yeah, she called him, she specifically called him a cowboy. And I was like, man, that's all the shit. Like, his career is what I wanted to have.
Did you say I'll be the reverse cowboy?
That's what I should have said.
You think that sounds special? I can guarantee you that, knowing the way CIA works, there were 15 other people that they had the same tasking for.
Right.
Okay, hold on.
This is operations, right?
Okay, so this dude is saying he got pulled into a secret fucking meeting where they said, okay, you have a history of fixing broken things. Can you fix the whole operational collection paradigm and doctrine that we go through? Can you do that? And then he says, knowing how the CIA works, they probably had 15 other people doing the same thing. And then here's what he says happens to those other people.
Because we had been built around Cold War tactics.
Right.
And then we had not really evolved past Cold War tactics, even though it was 2010. We were still leveraging Cold War tactics to fight terrorists, and it wasn't working. So they wanted us to create a whole new way of doing operations. Before you think that sounds special, I can guarantee you that, knowing the way CIA works, there were 15 other people that they had the same tasking for.
Right.
And it was just, okay, all 15 of you go out there and try and do it. And we already anticipate we're going to lose 7 of you. But hopefully one of the remaining 8 will figure this out.
I don't like the way that sounds at all.
But that's the way it works, right? And
when you say lose, you mean like it's not going to work and then they come back and do something else.
No, that's not quite
that's
what I mean.
What you meant, right?
We're all disposable assets, right?
This is the movie shit. This is such utter fucking fantasy land. First of all, why would they screen you out of thousands of people that month that applied? You got passed and you got in. Why would they want to spend all that money, all of that shit, to make you to not give a fuck whether or not you die? It's ridiculous. Also, the CIA is a very small organization. They don't want to lose. They don't lose people. They don't want to lose people. In fact, sometimes it makes them risk averse. Actually,
that's one of the things that makes the job sexy when you're a little bit off.
That's horrible. That's a horrible story.
No, I don't.
I would have never. You're not one of the 7. It's easy for you to say. You're like, no, it's a great story. I mean, nobody. We haven't seen Bob in a while, but I didn't like Bob.
Bob. There's no Bob. There's no guarantee anything bad happened to Bob. Right? Bob was compartmentalized, out of sight, out of mind in that world. Man, that's part of the profession.
Oh my God. So, okay. So how long are these I'm going to say missions is probably
generally a mission is between like 3 and 6 months.
Okay.
What we were assigned to do in 2010 ended up taking us 2.5 years.
Oh, I was just going to say, but if it takes root, right? Like if it bears fruit, then they start extending it.
Sort of.
Wait.
Look at this bald muff.
Sorry, I got fucking cold. Okay, so missions take. Oh, look at this motherfucker. The median age of the chat just doubled.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
In the end, I done some PCP.
I did some PCP.
What ends up happening is if it bears fruit,
put it inside
they
of
have
my
to ask
PC.
themselves the question, they being CIA leadership, has to ask themselves the question, if we extend this with the same people, do we run the risk of losing the people who have set it up? Or do we replace the people who have set it up and make it more of an institutionalized process? Right? Think of it like a director of sales or something like that in a business. When you have a good director of sales, do you keep them as the director of sales or do you move them up to become the vice president of sales? right? That's the same kind of process that happens at CIA.
Okay.
Did any of that make any motherfucking sense at all about networks? Look, I'm doing the Kramer now. About building networks. Does any of that fucking make sense what that dude just said?
Look at you now.
And oftentimes what they
Look at my hair.
That's all I'm gonna see now is fucking Fat Kramer.
Fat Kramer. Fucking Kramer. Come on. God, I gotta really.
You gotta get some new fucking friends, man.
Fucking really do.
I say eat a dick and continue to enjoy your dick eating experience.
I'm glad I came on today. Had you
want
just
to do is they
texted
want to
me and
move
said,
you
"Hey,
up
asshole, what's
because
going on?"
it's a major
then
loss.
I
It's a
wouldn't
lo-
be busting your balls so hard. I was sitting there waiting, and I'm flipping through YouTube, and all of a sudden, here's your fucking ugly mug. And I was like, "Well, goddamn, I guess we're on. Let me go fucking back there."
I did text you.
You said, "Cool."
Oh. I like how I get abused and then it's my fault. Well, you shouldn't have texted me.
That's how we abusers do it.
It's your dumb ass that let me know. And don't let me know. It's your fault. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
loss on multiple fronts. If a successful officer gets captured in the line of duty, because then not only do you lose the successful officer and all of their intellectual property and all of their continuity operationally, but you also end up having an international issue.
None of this makes any fucking sense.
Right.
Whereas if you can fleet that person up in the chain of command and replace them with somebody who's more disposable, you end up documenting their processes, and now you can basically just institutionalize the process and protect the asset. Right? People don't realize this is how CIA works, but a lot of times what ends up happening is if you are captured, like there was a guy I worked for at CIA. I don't even know if I can say it. I probably can't say his name publicly.
How many fucking case officers are getting fucking snatched?
It's Bob.
Bob.
That's it. Bob.
I know Bob Bear. You're no Bob Bear. Don't
I'm
be
the
Bob
reverse
Bear.
cowboy.
We don't need any cowboys. That's why I couldn't believe she finished it off by help. She was extremely helpful. And then she was like, hey, no matter what, blah, blah, blah. Start looking at Africa if you want to get into some stuff.
Oh.
And so.
Yeah, you just jarred a memory. It's the same kind of regret, but when I was at Leavenworth, I was desperate to get out of Leavenworth. Not because it was Kansas. I was in a union nightmare, and I was management. It was just nonstop.
To be clear, not in jail at Leavenworth.
No. So I applied for this job at the National World War II Memorial of the Pacific, Pearl Harbor, at the National Park Service. And it was like it was a GS-13 job. It was a supervisory job where you supervise like the historians and all those guys, the nerds, right? I put my fucking hat in the ring, never thinking I would get a nod. I was hoping that my cemetery experience, because I've only managed like historic military cemeteries, so I was hoping that was going to really be my end, and it was. I got through all the interviews, and I get to the final interview, and I lost it on a diversity question. They just asked me what my definition of diversity was, and it was different than what their definition was. So in the VA, we call you if you get the job. If you don't get the job offer, you get an email. Yeah, fuck off, you didn't get it, try again. I get a call from Hawaii. The whole family's with me. We're all stuck in this little house in Kansas. It was the big house in Kansas. I'm just like, Hawaii would be great. I've been there before. I can't wait to go back. And oh no, that's not what it's about. But she called me to tell me that I was the number 2 candidate over all of her other park employees and all the other park employees that had applied. And that's when she told me about the diversity question. And then she asked me where I saw myself in the next 5 to 7 years. And me being absolutely honest and not smart, I said either Glacier or Yellowstone. Not her fucking park, bro. And it didn't even dawn on me. And you just said that. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. She's essentially offering you an opportunity here, a possible end, and you just fucking shove both your fucking feet all the way in your mouth so far they're coming out your ass again. I feel like an idiot. All I had to do was like, working for you. Something along those lines, Fuck.
Fucking when talking to cops and during interviews, don't tell the truth. No.
Yeah.
No. Be honest. Sometimes it doesn't pay off though.
No.
Even though I'm pretty sure he's over. Jimmy. So I worked for Jimmy at CIA. Jimmy was captured by SVR in Russia during an assignment that he had.
I was close.
In like the late 90s. So he's captured by the Russians in Argentina, extradited to Russia, where he spends 3 to 6 months in a Russian prison until there's a spy swap between CIA and Russia in the early 2000s. He gets to come back from Russia. Well, now they don't ever want him to be at risk of being captured again. So how do they protect him? They promote him into positions of authority, right? That protects him from ever going overseas, and it rewards him for a job well done, right? Even though most of the people that work for him are like, that dude is a train wreck, that dude is mentally unstable, that dude has alcohol issues, that dude is a CI security risk. So popular opinion was irrelevant because CIA had a way of basically putting him into golden handcuffs. Keeping him in the organization and moving him up is how they kind of kept him under control.
What was the question the guy asked?
I don't know, but I will say that I do not disagree with the premise of his point, because I experienced that very fucking thing in the NCA. That was always dangling that fucking GS-15 carrot in front of my face. I went from a GS-9 when I started in 2012, and I was a GS-14 in 2019. And as you know, I'm not the company man. I'm not the guy who complies with anybody's rules or regulations, and it hasn't fucking changed, and it didn't change in the VA. And I tell you exactly what the fuck I think. But I was good at what I was doing, and I had results. So the chief of operations, my friend, she assured that I got to the right positions at the right grades to essentially keep me in line. And I did every single thing that was ever asked of me until my body said, you can't do it anymore. So there is something to be said for what he's saying here.
Your body started rejecting the butt fucking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Still is. So that's enough.
What was your first?
Okay, so what we've established here, we're at an hour. We've got 40 good motherfuckers in here. Maybe because we're covering intel. Maybe we got a couple.
Oh my holy crap! Surveillance does. I hate those.
But it's okay.
I'm trying to give you guys a place to come.
I love the fuck out of cookies.
Never go with a hippie to a second location.
Fuck no. And sometimes don't even go to the first one.
It's not recommended.
Okay, so far we've got him. 2007, he left the military. He has claimed he's got medals. I think it's in this one. He claims he's got medals from Iraq and Afghanistan. So meaning he's claiming for GWAT that he was there in both of those. Then he went into CIA.
To be clear,
yeah,
my son's mother-in-law has been to both Iraq and Afghanistan. She has medals from there. And when Jackie got home, she asked him what it was like. because she's an office person. She never left the comfort of the air-conditioned Air Force base. You know, yeah, cool. You were over there.
Also, yeah, that's true. And if he was an Air Force nuclear missile guy, also he claimed in that last one too that he claimed the Air Force taught him how to fly. The more and more this guy talks, I believe.
You can get into the Air Force Academy Flying Club, I think, and technically, I think you could assert that way that the Air Force taught you to fly. So I don't think you could discount that outright.
So that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I bet there was something he did, and like they took classes at the Air Force Academy in engineering, maybe some pilot shit. Time to do some of that pilot shit, Mav. So maybe it was something like that.
Mission together as a team. Like, what were you doing in the enemy country? What was your objective? You were working as a targeter to find interesting individuals, and then Andrew, you were predominantly trying to make contact with those individuals.
Sort of. Because I couldn't.
This is his wife. It's really weird how he does these. He does these. I think they hire somebody. They hire people and make it and hire sets and make it look like they're on other people's podcasts.
Everything is totally staged, scripted, rehearsed.
Yes.
It's gross.
It is a weird, and it's not a real podcast. He's not on somebody else's real podcast. And then he puts these videos up on his thing. It's really fucking strange.
As the node of the cell, the node is a term that we're using to say I was the piece that was exposed to CIA. So if the mole went hunting, the mole would find me. I was the one that was exposed.
Okay.
So
you were a staff officer, which means you were a planner, which means you're a pogue, which fine. You need these people, but now he's like, they're bait.
For me, it was important that I actually didn't meet with any of the targets that we had in Falcon. My job was to go.
She comes across as
go to Falcon to start sourcing the information that she would use to identify those individuals.
Like, what does that mean?
So whether it's something stupid like a phone book or a thumb drive, whether you're picking up a dead drop from some.
Okay. So what they're trying to claim is that he would service, I think he's saying he serviced dead drops. And then they call her a targeting officer.
Somebody else. So consider in Falcon, we would have already had other case officers carrying out operations.
Yeah.
So we might have a case officer who was able to extract information from a military database. And that military database has all the weapons engineers for Falcon's Air Force. That case officer can that spy can collect the thumb drive.
Yeah.
And then they can put that thumb drive in what's known as a dead drop. A dead drop would be something that you hide anywhere in the country, in a city, wherever else.
Like in a bush.
Yeah, like in a bush. I would then go into Falcon and I would go to that dead drop site, the bush.
So you go into the enemy country.
Right.
You'd go to the bush.
And take the thumb drive and bring it back by our cleansing route to Wolf, where I could give it to Jihi. Jihi could then extract the information from the thumb drive, and now she has a list of all the engineers who are part of the enemy country's Air Force.
Okay. Because of the terminology he uses, it makes it sound really super complicated. There would be a bunch of moving parts in this kind of scenario. First of all, it wouldn't be the case officer who breaks out that kind of let's just call it a thumb drive with a list of people like this. You would have to train. It would have to be a recruited source. They would have to train that source. That goes a lot into that shit. Now, let's just say that source got it from that office and then brings it to the case officer. Now, you may ask, why doesn't the case officer just get it out or whatever? But if he's under a non-official cover or he's in a cover where he can't get back or leave, then he could put it in a dead drop, like a hiding spot, just a hiding spot basically. And then somebody else, they could have an outsider come in and clean that, service that dead drop. It seems like a lot. It seems weird that he would be part of this. I don't know, but never know. It sounds.
And then from there, she has a starting point for her information to start finding targets. Now, as she finds targets, that's when we tap on our case officers, James, Tasha, Luke, Beverly, and we say, here's somebody that we think would be susceptible to you because you're a middle-aged woman, you're an older man, you're a younger man, you're a younger woman, right? We think that these people might be susceptible to your interests, your backgrounds, your voice.
Susceptibility is only one of, I can't imagine it's fucking classified, but you have a whole bunch of criteria. Let's see, that includes motivation, susceptibility. There's a bunch of factors that go in. Susceptibility is how susceptible, not are they to you and your charms. That's not how you ever look at these things. You look at it, how susceptible is he to our messaging? How susceptible is he or she, or is the source, the target, susceptible to our line of persuasion? How it's not like, hey, he likes fucking Asian chicks or something. It's not like that. It's how susceptible, because all of that is that's why it's weird the way he talks about it, because it's all transactional with him. It's not, you're not doing that. You're going way deeper into mind fucking this person than you are, to be perfectly honest, than you are at this level. Just trying to have a transactional thing. Yeah, you'll have a source you pay or whatever, but to really get in, that's why he talks it weird. And then a targeting officer very often is DC based. They can go forward. They often do, but it's hard for one targeting officer to work for a whole, like, kind of embassy or whatever your program. So they'll have a whole generally an area kind of deal. But that's what part of the things you would do. But he's talking about targets like to go kill. We would look for targets to go for sources.
Voice, who knows what.
Yeah. Hey, homie,
and we need you to target them. And then
I gotta bounce, man.
Okay, dude.
I gotta go. Just the wife needs some help with her office real quick before work tomorrow.
Of course, man.
I don't want to just ditch you all without saying later, folks.
All right, man. Thanks for stopping in. Laters.
Later.
Now get your ugly white ass out of here.
All right, we'll finish up with this.
We would send those spies into Falcon to meet the targets that Jihi found.
Okay. Okay, got you.
It's the game of espionage.
Her facial expressions in this are really weird. Also, my hair looks like I'm fucking wearing a fucking beret wrong. Fucking gotta figure that. God damn it, I just got a haircut too. It kind of does work the way that they're talking about. This is why they have some knowledge.
It's not an easy game. It's a fun game, but it's a chess game, not a checkers game. So there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving.
But he is far more of a relentless self-promoter. CIA sex secrets? For a 5'3" doofus?
Moving parts. And for me, it was always very exciting, but I also understand that it can be very difficult to express it well.
Was there ever a time when you felt most at risk when you were in that hostile country?
At some point, my presence in Falcon, in the enemy country, became known to the local government in the enemy country. And they dispatched a surveillance team to track me. It was a...
It does make me wonder if they sent him out, if they were using him in some way to service. It would seem weird that they would, in such an early phase that they would have you do this, but I don't know. Maybe he did go through some kind of thing where they service dead drops or something. But you always have to run on the assumption that you're being surveilled.
Major turning point in our operation. We kind of went from a place where we felt like we were winning to a place where we wondered if we were losing. We went from a place where I felt very safe to a place where I felt like I could immediately be apprehended. And then all the worst thoughts start to creep in. Not necessarily about being shot. Oftentimes, a CIA officer being shot in a foreign country is a welcome experience because being shot at least means everything ends.
What the actual fuck? I know. It looks like I'm wearing a beret wrong, doesn't it? Kind of. Right, dude. You know? No, I don't even think he was.
The worst is being captured and being apprehended. And then all the worst thoughts start to creep in. Not necessarily about being shot. Oftentimes, a CIA officer being shot in a foreign country is a welcome experience because being shot at least means everything ends. The worst is being captured and being interrogated and being used for diplomatic leverage and being used for policy leverage and being forced to do.
Oh, yeah. How dare you? And now he gets on and makes political statements, by the way. By the way, this dude now is like going around making like political statements. So, how dare they use you for your policy influence?
Into brainwashing and propaganda videos. Like that's a much worse experience than a clean death.
You said earlier that it would have been the mole that was exposed to your presence and that knew that you were in this enemy country. So was it the mole that told the enemy country?
That's what we believe. We don't have the evidence to prove it, but what's
Oh my God. This dude's just read too many books or something.
CIA's conclusion, as well as the conclusion inside of our own shadow cell, is that our operation.
Shadow cell. Do you understand? Shadow cell, you fucking dork. Yes, Bussymante. You don't need to raise your hand. It's just a meeting. Bussymante. What do you have? It's Bustamante. Okay, Bussy. What is it? I say we call ourselves Shadow Cell. You're fired. You're fired. I mean, we're CIA. We take ourselves way too seriously, and even for us, that is dorky as fuck. Get out. You're fired.
Had reached the place where they were significant enough that the mole took a risk to find out that I was the exposed member of the cell. And then the mole reported my name to the hostile country's police force.
But I thought you were being used as bait. As bait to service a fucking dead drop? What benefit would the CIA get out of using you as bait for what? To bait the mole into making a mistake so you knew so the CIA, the CI, the counter intel dudes could know who it is. This is ridiculous.
So you're now inside that hostile country, the enemy country, and they know that you're a US spy. Was there a day when you realized that they knew that you were a spy?
Yes. Well, there wasn't a day that I realized that they knew I was CIA. There was a day that I realized they were surveilling me as if I was a threat.
See, so he kind of starts to talk this like a bit like he knows it, but then I don't know. And then he doesn't really go deeper Let's see. I gotta refill my water.
When you travel, when any business person travels to a hostile country, they're almost always surveilled. Their hotel rooms can be rifled through. There's people called bumbling surveillance or watchers who will usually follow you. I'm not sure what your travel looks like, but I can almost assure you that if you traveled to Russia, if you traveled to China, if you traveled to Cuba, you had a watcher, you had a surveillance team.
Really?
That was watching you.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're wealthy, you're successful, you're an influencer, you're of significance. At the very least, they want to make sure that some petty criminal doesn't hurt.
Okay, you're wealthy, you're an influencer. That's what China cares about. I'm not saying you're not under surveillance. I want to see though, who is this guy they're talking about? He doesn't even look. He doesn't even list whose podcast this is. This is all fucking bullshit. He's like, you're rich, you're an influencer. Wow.
Hurt you in their country, because that could be a big deal.
Thank you.
But
please continue to surveil me.
But at worst, they could also be scraping your cell phone to pull all of your contacts off the cell phone so that they could then reach out to any of the contacts that you have on your cell phone. They could scan and duplicate your hard drive as you go through secondary or go through immigration in a foreign country.
They can scan my hard drive as I go through immigration.
Absolutely. We can do that here in the United States too.
What? So if I land in the United States, how would they do that?
So there's different authorities that exist for different agencies. So here inside the United States, one of the authorities that we give to our Border Patrol is the authority to essentially scrape data off of all of your electronic devices.
I mean, he looks like he's fucking whacked out. Doesn't he? Doesn't he fucking have? Kind of looks like he's fucking whacked out, man. Yeah, I won't get into the tech on ports of entry.
So if you're deemed a target of interest, and if you're moved into what's known as a secondary screening, they will separate you from your bags. They'll actually open your bags. They might even tell you to unlock your cell phone or unlock your laptop.
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they...
I mean, it is weird, right? Because it does... Would it be past... I mean, would it be outside of the realm that somebody in fucking CIA got a wild hair up their ass about making this thing? To what end? I don't know. Would be my the question for any operation, for anything you're gonna do, is what's the fucking end state? What's your desired goal here? And it is a sales pitch. He's selling you. He's literally trying to sell you CIA sex secrets. And it wouldn't surprise me if the CIA handled it this poorly, to be honest. They're very they do a lot of very, very good things. Very professional. They're young. They tended, when I was around with GWAT, they were a very young workforce. And so there was cockiness in them. But it wouldn't specifically surprise me if this had been years, kind of, look at the DEI kind of shit they put out right in those recruiting videos that they made during the heyday to that. I mean, this guy, he's 5'3", the hair, I don't know. But it would, he's a salesman. But I don't think it's that. My feeling is that it's not. That this dude, something happened. Him and his wife are fucking weirdos. They probably didn't fit in with anybody. And the IC is filled with a bunch of weirdos too. But they probably didn't fit in with anybody, kind of got pushed out. And then they're like, why don't we do this stuff as this? I don't know. And then now they're making up stories about country fucking shadow cell
It can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your...
But here's the flip side of this is, if my guess is if he was ever approached to give his, his access to his shit, he probably would. He strikes me as that kind of guy. So even though he may not be actively doing anything with it now, he's probably shopping it around.
Your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people. And then from there, with technology that's proprietary and technology that's also commercially available, they can scrape and scan your hard drive.
Because I've been through security before in various countries, and sometimes when I get to the other end, there's a letter in my suitcase, and the letter in my suitcase says, "Hey, we had to go through your bags for some reason."
If you had a technical device in your bag along with that letter, there's a good chance that it was cloned.
It's funny, she is making some weird faces.
And sometimes when I get to the other end, there's a letter in my suitcase, and the letter in my suitcase says, "Hey, we had to go through your bags for some reason."
If you had a technical device in your bag along with that letter, there's a good chance that it was cloned.
But I didn't give them my password.
It's a good chance it was cloned.
Sometimes they don't need your password.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How are they going to get into my laptop without my password?
There's ways.
So yeah, there's password generators, there's password cracking codes. Your password is I have somebody I could call right now, and within about 30 minutes, we would probably have all of your passwords that you use for all of your devices in your personal home.
Okay, Ernie. Okay. Big Ern McHavaids. Big Ern McCIAids. Get the fuck out of here. First of all, get the fuck out of here. I will say this. If the thing we had access to be able to get into a lot of shit. If you're a foreigner and you were outside the United States and there was things that could get into for sure. But
that's the end of the podcast, Andrew. Good luck with the book. Pass me my phone.
What are you going to do?
And this is a bit of a tangent, but it's an important one. So what devices do you guys use if you have that knowledge that it's really easy to break into devices? Do you use the same devices that I use?
Yeah, for me, I assume that if you become a target of interest, there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. So I use devices that are actually easy to crack and clone.
that's not true. That is not true. There are definite ways. But it gets limited. It gets limited, believe me. But there's not nothing you can do. Definitely there are ways to get around it.
Because I don't want my device to get...
It's what it's intended to do. It's to severely disrupt your ability to operate. It's disruptive, but there's ways past it.
Broken. So that when the Chinese or the Russians choose to go through some backdoor on my Android system, my Android doesn't shut down. Whereas there are more complex systems like a Glacier phone, where if somebody penetrates your Glacier phone, the whole phone will shut down and you'll be without a phone.
Is there any phone or device that's safe?
I would argue the answer is no.
No, I would say no also.
Because anything that you create that claims to be safe becomes priority number one for all the adversaries out there, because they know if they can be the first ones to crack that phone or crack that hard drive or crack that operating system, then they have the competitive advantage.
The thing is, though, is that he's talking about shit that he doesn't fucking know anything about. Or he has a CIA memoir level kind of knowledge. Like he read some books on the CIA recommended reading list kind of thing. I'm telling you, the truth is, once I saw what we could do, I was like, oh, fuck it, I give up. I'm not trying. I don't have anything to hide.
Advantage over everybody else.
Yeah, it's possible for something to be safe for a short period of time, but eventually it's going to get cracked. They'll find the back door. They'll figure out how to open it.
And it's not just foreign intelligence that wants to do that. It's also all of your criminal syndicates. It's all of your dark web syndicates. Everybody wants to do it. So whenever I see anybody come out and promise that they got the new hardest device, I don't believe it. It might be hard, but that doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah, there are levels of security, but nothing is 100% secure, at least when it comes to technology. And so we just assume that it's not secure. And so you just treat your device in that way, with whatever level of security is convenient and makes you feel secure. But knowing that at any point, somebody could just hack in from, they could hack in remotely. They could, scrape your drive when you're going through immigration, or if you're in a hotel room, somebody comes in. I mean, it's always possible.
They can steal your encryption key from somebody else that you are having an encrypted chat with. So they don't even have to target.
I mean, both of them.
You
do you
eyes?
It's like cold storage.
You can see.
Did you use like a hard drive that's not connected to the internet or something?
We will air gap.
I mean, look at that. That's the way he's. God damn, he looks like he's fucked up, doesn't he? Hey, Zippy. What is going on? Yeah. Pauly Shore joins the CIA.
Air gapping is cold storage, like what you're talking about, where you take something off the actual cloud, take something off the internet, and it just lives in a standalone server. Whether that's we have drives that we save our information to.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of right. I'm trying to think of we use the term air gap to mean I'm going to send it to you. That I don't have to have my computer send it to you. I don't need your computer or your device to hook into my standalone device. A standalone device wasn't called an air gap. An air gap was basically Wi-Fi-ing the shit out. Essentially, right? It's like the airdrop. It's the same. It's literally the same thing as an airdrop from your phone. That's what we always refer to it as. But then again, I don't know. I wasn't CIA, so maybe they say those things there.
That are air gaps. They're not connected to the internet, not connected to a cloud. They're only connected whenever we choose to transfer information. So we'll do things like that to keep our information safe. But I think the most important thing is that if you make yourself easy to be hacked, then you'll actually get hacked less because you're not a risk. They can see what you have. They understand that you're not important, and they move on to the next target that's more clandestine or trying to hide.
Okay, so you figure out, going back to the story, you figure out that.
So the more clandestine you are, the easier you are to find.
You're being surveilled. How?
Just like the whole idea of a cleansing route through a third country, that's a piece of tradecraft that has never been exposed before. I actually get to teach a number of people. I get to teach in the story how we do what's known as a surveillance detection route. So the core of surveillance detection is understanding something that we call multiple sites, multiple sightings over a period of time. So I need to see the same person, the same vehicle, the same face, the same profile. Profile meaning, tall, Caucasian male, mid-50s. I need to see the same.
Okay. If it is tradecraft that you're talking about, why are you releasing it? It's classified.
Profile several times over a period of time where I'm changing locations. So what happens inside Shadow Cell is I identify one car that
Okay. Inside shadow cell. I mean, if this woman is his wife, she's in on this shit. Because this is, first of all, SDRs are something that is done. It is. I'm not going to explain how he's right or wrong on any of this, but yes, shit's done. Right? But it's not just done inside shadow cell. Also, the logistics of what he's talking about don't make sense. If you believe you are under surveillance, you write a report about the shit. And then that way it's tracked. And then people who aren't necessarily you, but who have a large, so you can freeze you up. So you who have a little bit bigger picture can be like, oh shit, we're seeing this same person over and over again. Okay. Now we're building out who their surveillance people are.
follows me through multiple turns and then falls off, only to come back on later on. That's kind of my first indicator that there might be something going on. So then I go through.
That's kind of your first indicator? If you are running a fucking SDR, you are doing it with the purpose of paying attention and looking for this shit. You can chase ghosts, but
through this route, a predetermined, pre-planned route through a city. And the only reason I'm doing that route is
it's an operational act. You're not allowed, DOD is not allowed to do these things in willy-nilly. You can't just go in and start now, can you do them and not report them? Yeah. You know. Yeah. There was this is a while ago, so I'm not saying anything, but there was some special operations teams. Africa wasn't always because the CIA, the chief of station, has the say on these kind of operations, what can and can't be done. In some countries, they were not even letting dudes do SDRs. So it's an operational act, meaning you're in an operation. Meaning if you're just lollygagging until you notice something like, oh shit, I better fucking lock in.
so that I can drag people along with me to see if they're going to behave like surveillance. And from that route, I find that it's not just one car, it's actually two other cars. And when I get out of my own vehicle to walk on foot, there are very specific people who then follow me on foot. And then in the third part of the surveillance detection route, I find that the same people who are following me on foot are also the people driving the cars that are following me inside vehicles. So most surveillance detection routes are executed in this very prescribed, very specific process so that you can see who's actually following you.
And you did that. You discover that there's multiple people following you in multiple vehicles.
And when you discover that, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's absolutely terrifying, but it's comforting because you know they're following you, but they don't know that you know that yet.
Always reminds me of that fucking Eddie Murphy joke. Hey, I know that you know that I know. The honeymooners joke.
So they still think that they're discreet. They still think that you're operationally active, meaning they're following you because they expect you to commit espionage. They're following you because they expect you to meet with a source, do a dead drop, acquire some kind of equipment that you shouldn't have, right? They're waiting for that. If they don't see that, then they don't get the evidence that they need. They don't win.
So you go straight to a strip club or something.
Exactly right. You go to a strip club, you go to a library.
Man, I there's so much I want to talk about with this. I won't. Let's just.
I went to an arcade in this book, and you go somewhere to just waste their time.
Right.
Because as long as I'm collecting their information, when I come back to my friend.
Hey, Ralphie, I see you looking at me. I know that you know that I know.
The country, and I meet with my shadow cell teammates, I can now tell them.
Okay. So this is it. He's under surveillance. Now he waits to communicate with his shadow cell teammates
club or something.
Exactly right. You go to a strip club, you go to a library. I went to an arcade in this book, and you go somewhere to just waste their time. Because as long as I'm collecting their information, when I come back to my friendly country and I meet with my shadow cell teammates, I can now tell.
I will say this. Nothing is done to waste time. Nothing is done to waste anybody's time. Not potential security forces that are got you under surveillance. Not your time. No. Nothing is done. This is what I'm talking about. None of this is fucking lackadaisical. It's nobody's wasting anybody's time on these things.
Tell them this license plate is a surveillance vehicle. This profile is a surveillance vehicle. If you see a woman or a man wearing these types of clothing, this is a surveillant, right? And we can now we can build a database back in Wolf that shares the surveillance team members in Falcon.
Were you scared when you figured out that you were being followed?
I was terrified. I was terrified because I had so many thoughts going through my head, from how did I fuck up to what if I don't go home? I'm trying to think about what they're going to do as their next step. How long are they going to follow me before they just say fuck it and just wrap me up? Are they even going to wrap me up, meaning apprehend me, capture me? Do they already have evidence that shows that I'm committing espionage, right? I haven't committed espionage on this trip yet, but have they seen me on a previous trip doing a dead drop, retrieving a dead drop, dropping a cell phone, taking a battery? Like, what do they know? I don't know what they know. And then you've got all this panic.
I mean, if he was telling the truth about his shit, then he is talking a lot. Talking a lot.
And at the same time, you have to recall 3.5 hours of very specific activity across a city to run an SDR.
An SDR?
A surveillance detection route. You have to recall, I turn left on Front Street. I go 2 blocks. I turn right on 22nd North. And then I turn left on an alley. You have to recall this thing that you memorized, that you worked through, at the same time that you have this spike of adrenaline and panic.
It's picking up a device. He probably got, it sounds like, I don't know. He got some training. I don't know why you would pick up a battery. I mean, there are other pieces of the phone that you'd want more than the battery, but I don't know.
And you were on your own?
I was on my own for that operation.
So you go through this route through the city that is predetermined for you to go down. And presumably this particular route is designed in such a way where it gives you opportunities to expose them. You realize that you are being followed. What do you do in that exact moment?
That first moment that I realized it was true, I had this realization, this moment of fear and vulnerability, where it was a moment of self-loathing, where you realize that you're not as good as you think you are. And you realize that however this happened, you're the only one to blame for what comes next.
What a very weird take. What a fucking weird take on that.
In that kind of moment of humility, I actually called Jihi. In our alias identities that we had built for these operations, we had
So you are running a surveillance detection route. You have detected surveillance. You believe you're under surveillance. Your first instinct is to freak out and call your wife.
It's known as a throwaway phone or a disposable telecommunications. And I called her and I gave her a coded message to let her know that something was wrong, because I wanted her to know that
I don't know. It's hard to believe. Why would the fuck would you use an ops phone to call your fucking wife?
something was wrong, so that she could take it back to the cell so that they could start their systems on their end to protect me if I did get arrested, if I did get wrapped up, if I did get shot.
You gave her a coded message
via cell phone.
What is that coded message?
I think I just called you and said I'm coming home early.
Mm-hmm.
You said you called her and said I'm coming home early.
Yeah, which is a bad sign because
that also way to just give your emergency comms away. I'm coming home early. By the way, when you use verbiage like that, it's not bad. You need there's two aspects of it when you do that, and then of what you're saying, and then you need a certain response back as acknowledgement. This is fucking ridiculous. I'm coming home early. Holy fuck. I'm a badass CIA officer and I'm under some fucking low-level fucking surveillance. I'm coming home early, bitch. You better not be fucking that team, dude. It happens.
you would never come home early from an operation ever. So as soon as I heard he was coming home early, I knew that something was wrong.
Take me into your world at that time. The phone rings.
I get the call from my burner phone, and which was unusual anyways. I mean, I always had it because that was part of our communication plan, was for us to do that when we were apart.
So a burner phone is a secondary phone that you just use for these kind of things?
That just for this. It's never used for anything else. It's not connected to a name.
Yeah, thank you. It's 2025. We've all seen The Wire. We kept something outside of an op phone.
And that's what keeps it anonymous.
I knew he had a tendency to freak out like a bitch.
For us. And
Oh,
so
this is
he
great.
calls and he says, hey, I'm coming home early. And I'm like, okay, because you can't, if the line's being tapped, you can't be like, oh my God, what's going on? Are you okay? Because
it's called emergency communications, and there's a process for it. And if you were actually doing fucking tradecraft of any sort of kind, you would fucking implement the emergency communication plan. And it isn't this, because you have to have that person acknowledge that part of it. This is crazy. I know. Wire was way better.
because somebody's listening to it, it has to sound like we knew that his alias had a fiance. I was the fiance. So, it was totally natural for anybody.
Why would you not be married? The whole point of being a tandem couple, married couple, is that you are overtly married. Now, whether that works in some way into your non-official cover, meaning you're not around the embassy and shit, if that works into your cover in some kind of, but you're married. That's the whole point of this. This is a horse shit. Look. Could somebody's cover be built this way? Sure, I suppose. I suppose. Does it make any sense to anybody, though?
Listening in to hear him say, hey, I'm coming home early. So then I had to.
So they're not just telling their story. They're trying to sell you fucking podcast, Patreon, merchandise. It's basically fucking alpha male CIA.
Be like, oh, that's really exciting. That's great. I can't wait to see you. And he's like, okay, I love you. And then that's the end of the conversation. And that's all I get. And so after that's all I get from Andy, I go back to the office. I'm starting to scour all of our cables, go talk to James. Have you heard anything? Is anything happening?
You started to scour.
You started to scour over cables? If something's going down in an emergency way, it's SIGINT. God, you dumb. I have not heard this part. I stopped at the SDR part. That's when I was like, and okay, I'm talking to Hippie. Let's do a show. Let's talk about this dude.
All of your cables.
Yeah, so we have all of our databases, all the CIA databases. So there's reporting that comes in all the time, that you're, especially regional reporting that you're privy to. And so I talked to James because he had more access than I did to all things Falcon. And so I was like, have you heard anything? Is there anything weird going on? And he said no. And so I started just kind of looking through all of my stuff to see, was there any reporting that was of somebody being captured or somebody.
By the way, all of this is happening supposedly simultaneously with him being under such dire surveillance that he had to initiate emergency If you felt for your life, why would you not go through official channels? Why would it take your fucking wife to go talk to the CIA to see if something's going on? So this is,
something going wrong, and there was nothing. And so Andy and I have, we created on our own it's called a combo plan, a communication plan, where, if anything ever happens, whether natural disaster or, espionage faux pas.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason I'm twice divorced. But if I'm in a life or death situation, I'm not calling the wife. I'm fucking calling dudes who, if this is in the plan, can come get you out.
Like, we had a system of communication where, I wait 8 hours and, check this fake email that we share that's not attributable. And then he gives me a sign of life. And then we have these timings, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, where all I need from him is a sign of life to know that he's okay. And then that also gives us the opportunity, if it were a natural disaster, for example, to put,
Right.
meet me at this location.
So that's an email address that Andy emails.
Yeah. So
Close.
it's an email address that we both have a login to, and you create a draft email inside of it.
Oh, okay.
Also learns from terrorism.
Also learned from terrorism.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what terrorists do?
Yeah.
So they create a draft email, they just leave it there.
Yep.
And someone else log.
Oh, is this 2003 or 2025? They are so happy that they know this granular level of knowledge that terrorists use dummy emails.
Logs in and looks at it.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's never sent. So it never goes over the internet, really. But yeah. So we had.
Does this dumb bitch not know how the internet works? I put it in Google. It's saved in drafts. It's not going anywhere. Holy fuck. I hope people keep. That's how it works, everybody.
This communication.
Please believe that that's how it works. If you are a bad guy and you believe that's how it works, please believe that.
Plan in place. So even
that fake email plan has stymied the SIGINT community for 2+ decades. Fucking lie.
even though I was concerned and I couldn't find anything to discover what was happening, I knew we had this communication plan in place. So I knew that at some point he was going to give me a sign of life, and I couldn't do anything until that point.
So you've discovered that you've been discovered by this adversarial country. You call Jihi, you let her know that you're coming home early. Then what do you do?
Then I have to plan my escape. So
oh my God, this gets better. By the way, this is from today. This is from today. Holy shit. Okay. So, this fucking poofta is freaking the fuck out because he's under fucking some security forces surveillance, apparently, in country Falcon. He's probably talking Iran. He's established that his wife, clearly his handler, his source handler, is in another country. He used a burner phone that's not an op phone, their own personal burner phone to call his wife, to make an international call to his wife in another country to say, I'm coming home early, does not initiate any emergency comms with friendly forces or, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right? Just whatever. Somebody at the embassy, some sort of fucking, if there's a team somewhere to help him out. Does not call them. Hangs up with her. She is going across the CIA asking people if they have seen anything. He's running from his life, and now he has to make up an escape plan. By the way, at this point, he has not contacted anybody but his wife.
Another thing that movies don't show you is that
you're lying.
When the first effort to escape is always
Tell him Derek
self-rescue.
Savage said
It's
you're
always
a
on
liar.
the part of the field officer alone to try to escape. There's no Navy SEAL team. There's no evacuation helicopter. There's no high-speed boat or classy.
Right. But all you're doing is an SDR. You don't have anything. You yourself have said you have not initiated any other operational fucking maneuver, any operational act. Servicing a dead drop would be considered an operational act. You yourself have said you have not done anything. All you are doing is an SDR. And now you're going to fucking go into E&E? Get the fuck, you're going to blow fucking clandestine fucking escape routes because you pissed your pants under some light surveillance?
It's a yacht just waiting for you. You have to get yourself across the country's border yourself before you can hope for any kind of evac from there, or what we call an exfil. So I knew that it was on me to come up with some evacuation plan. And I had to come up with an evacuation plan that wasn't going to let the surveillance team know that I knew.
So you don't even have a plan thought up. Oh my God. By the way, everybody, these SDRs have built-in emergency plans. They should. They have a built-in emergency plan. You're just now going to come up with your fucking... You're going to come up with the shit on the fly?
Ooh.
Also, if you are in the point of evading, what the fuck do you care about that? You are under the assumption, the only reason you would fucking initiate anything, you wouldn't do it this way. I can't imagine. If you did it this way, you are saying, hey, it's bad if I get captured and it's worth blowing the fucking operation and my cover to not get fucking captured. What you are doing is now you are immediately alerting these guys. If you start going into evasive maneuvers, you are immediately alerting these guys that that they know, hey, Ralphie, you know what I'm saying? You're not hiding anything at this point. This is all crap.
I was under surveillance.
So you're still in the car at this point?
I'm in between the car and on foot, depending on where I am in the surveillance detection route, right? It was...
God, I wish I could fucking talk SDRs a little bit more, but I have, to be honest, I have, outside of training, I have very limited experience with them. I mean, reporting and shit, but limited experience in that. So to be clear, but the beauty of them is the simplicity of what's happening. It's your planning. So when he's talking about that, you are often on a mix between foot and vehicle. If you're on a vehicle one, yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
Surveillance detection routes generally break into 3 phases. It's in the first phase that you suspect that you're under surveillance. It's in the second phase that you confirm it. So it's in.
And look, I get it. It's a cop out. It's a cop out to say it that for me to say it that way. But because it takes me off the hook from having to explain why he's wrong. But he's wrong. And there are enough people on this fucking platform. Apparently a bunch of them full of shit. But people, if they talk SDRs, they know that this is what he's talking about, that this is ridiculous. So maybe trust me, bro, a little bit on it, but you can verify it pretty easily.
In this second phase, when I confirm I am absolutely under surveillance, that's when I contact Jihi, and that's when I start coming up with my own self-rescue plan.
And the third phase?
The third phase is a collection phase. You know that you're under surveillance. You know that you've communicated to somebody that you're under surveillance. And now the mission becomes collect as much information as you can about the surveillance team before they realize that they're being collected against.
This operational chronology is fucked up. You wouldn't. Oh, okay, now? How do you know that you're under surveillance? Because you've been watching. Yeah, this is all I know.
So you see this car behind you, multiple cars behind you, and the same people following you on foot. Are you writing this down, or are you just trying to memorize it?
At first, it's all memory. And we have a methodology for trying to memorize this stuff. We actually talk about this in the book as well. You start to come up with short codes to describe the people. And the codes that you come up with mean something to you, but they wouldn't mean anything if they came out in an interrogation, if they came out in writing. So like for you, I might call you Black T-shirt. A black T-shirt.
Do you want to call him Black Guy? Like I might call you Black Guy.
Means something to me. So if I see Black T-shirt behind me 3 times in the next 45 minutes in 3 different parts of the city, I know that I have an image for what Black T-shirt means. But when I write down Black T-shirt, nobody else knows what that means. When I see
I didn't think you were going to rob me. I didn't mean it like that. I'm looking at you and I almost said Black Guy, but I didn't want to seem like I was racist.
a woman, it was cold, the season that I was carrying out these operations. I saw a woman in earmuffs, so I would call her earmuffs. I saw a guy in a bomber jacket, so I called him bomber jacket. And you just recall these people. You blue sedan.
By the way, how does this super secret squirrel code in any kind of fucking way, how would it fool your interrogators? How would that information fool you're like, well, I said bomber jacket and earmuffs. We just happen to have our surveillance team wearing those kinds of clothes. Well, this is too complicated for us. Yeah. These people are fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Him and his wife are fucking weirdos. And by the way, that doesn't mean they aren't fucking, or, you know, at one time weren't CIA. A lot of fucking weirdos there.
Yellow SUV, right? White taxi cab. You start to come up with these nicknames that mean something to you, but don't mean anything to anybody else. And then when you get back to a place where you can document.
I didn't rewind it. He just reset it. That is one of the most ridiculous fucking things. It's going to take a team of fucking scientists working around the clock. I'm trying not to be racist.
Your notes in detail, you have a reference point to document in detail. So I start by memorizing. When I got towards the end of my third phase of surveillance detection, I actually wrote down my notes. In the book, it explains I went into a clothing store, and then I started making notes in the clothing store. Presumably, if somebody came in and arrested me.
By the way, that's a no-no. You should not be doing that. You're giving yourself away. Say you get caught. And when doing it in training, they would stop you. They would randomly stop you. Everything was live. If you were running, they would stop you, frisk you, search your car, search the vehicle that you had, they were using for the course, that kind of shit. No, you don't want to take note. You don't want to go in somewhere and start taking notes.
At that moment, what they would see is a bunch of notes about clothing, earmuffs and black t-shirts inside of a clothing store. That's not espionage. But then when I was able to actually get back to Wolf with my cell, then I was able to deconstruct what black t-shirt meant. Black t-shirt meant black male with a goatee, approximately 165 pounds, 5 foot, 11 inches, 38 years old.
165.
So how do you get from
I mean, that is a pretty skinny dude.
phase 2 of your process of figuring out if you're being followed to the arcade? Like, why did you go to the arcade?
So I went to the arcade because I was trying, in a surveillance detection route, one of the things that you're actually trying to do is called bore or lull your surveillance. You never want to, in movies, it makes it look like you're trying to ditch your surveillance team. You're trying to lose your tail. That's not what professionals do.
By the way, you just claimed that's what you're about to initiate. And he's not wrong on this. He's not wrong on this, but I don't want to talk about it because that gets into, I don't want to go anywhere near any of that. But he's not wrong on that. But what is he doing? What is he doing? He's freaking the fuck out. Uses a non-operational phone to make an international phone call to his wife to cry to his wife. This is ludicrous.
What professionals do is we drag the tail. We keep the tail with us for as long as possible. And one of the things you do is you make yourself very predictable. You move very slowly. You hang out in public places, which makes it very easy for them to observe you. I was actually going to the arcade to try to collect more information about my surveillance team, but I was trying to give them time and space so they could.
Also, to understand this, you're not trying to lull them into sleep. You're trying to make it look like you are boring. You're not trying to lull anybody. Again, it's weird the way he talks about it, because he talks about an SDR or any kind of operational act like this thing, like is almost a passive endeavor. Where no, it's active. It's an active operational act. You are doing boring things. You are doing boring things. That's what it is. I get it. You could probably say lull, but it's interesting how he puts it.
Could observe me in a public setting. It backfired, because what actually ended up happening is that when I went into the arcade, they lost me. They lost sight of me, which put them into a position where they started panicking to try to find me, even though I was just sitting inside the arcade.
I mean, it doesn't sound like it backfired if they lost you.
It's a terrible thing when they lose you, because when they lose you, they start to panic and they start to assume either they made a mistake or you're a trained officer. If you're a trained officer, if that's the conclusion that they make, they can come in and arrest you. If they lose you, then they start to make mistakes. And when a surveillance team starts to make mistakes, it means that they might stumble across you. They might have 2 different surveillance people find you at the same time. And for them, that's a scary thing, because for them, they're trying not to be identified. They're trying to be discreet. They're trying to not be seen. So when they, in this case, in the story that we share in Shadow Cell, when the surveillance team broke into a starburst means they broke ranks to try to find me in the arcade. When they broke ranks to try to find me, they presented themselves to me.
They presented themselves to me. Wait, did he say Starbucks?
In this case, in the story that we share in Shadow Cell, when the surveillance team broke into a starburst means they broke ranks.
I thought you said Starbucks.
To try to find me.
It's like, so you were doing shit in Northern
in the arcade. When they broke ranks to try to find me, they presented themselves to me in the arcade face to face. And it was in that moment that I realized they know that I see them and I know that they see me, and this is bad.
You locked eyes with them.
Tell him Derek Savage say you're a
Which
liar.
you're never supposed to do.
You're never supposed to do.
You're never supposed to lock eyes with your surveillance. You're never supposed to lock eyes with anybody who's a threat ever, because that's threatening behavior, right? That's one of the reasons that people share strong eye contact with peers is a show of trust. Well, whenever you're locking eyes with somebody who's a threat, it's a sign of aggression or dominance. So whenever you're being surveilled, you never want to make eye contact with your surveillance team, because your surveillance team will see that eye contact as a threat.
When you say you sort of bumped into them in that arcade, what's the distance?
3 feet.
3 feet. And
okay. So prior to him, this is the lead up. They're going to let him out of the arcade.
And how long did you lock eyes with each other?
It felt like an eternity. In reality, it was probably 2.5 seconds.
I mean, 2.5 seconds is a long time.
Especially when you're trying not to be seen.
So
Brizzy, Texas Town Boy member por 21 mesas. American, fuck yeah.
Start saving for our 2-year anniversary, SV. What is 2-year anniversary? Is that pipe? You know, like pipe.
Create that moment for me. You're in the arcade pretending you're playing with games. You turn a corner.
It's horrible, man. It's a horrible.
By the way, thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. 21 months. It's crazy. It's a long time. It's a long time. Thank you. I don't know how you don't get sick of me. I get sick of me. I get sick of me.
A horrible story. I'm in the arcade. I think I'm doing everything right. I'm like, oh, I'm in the arcade. They watched me come in. They're probably taking a smoke break outside. They've got nothing to worry about. And I'm kind of going from game to game and spending whatever credits that I bought in the arcade. And I go to this dinosaur hunting shooting game, right? Almost like Big Buck Hunter or like Jurassic Park. And I pick up a rifle and I'm shooting at dinosaurs. And I'm just killing time. And then the fucking surveillant comes around the back of the machine looking for me. He comes around the back of the machine and he sees me and I'm holding a fucking gun. And I look at him and he looks at me. And that's when our 2.5 seconds happen. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what just happened? Why did I just see Bomber Jacket come around my video game console and stare at me in the face? And that's when I kind of realized, oh my gosh, like the team is in panic. I can see multiple people in the team. They lost me. They're trying to find me. Bomber Jacket just found me.
What did Bomber Jacket do when he looked at you?
His jaw dropped. He went slack. Like he looked at me.
Some may feel it's not that different. I like to punish the audience.
And he knew that he had fucked up too. And I looked at him, and in my mind's eye, I was just hoping that I didn't look as stupid as he looked.
In that moment, is it true to say that you should have just looked back at the dinosaur game as fast as you possibly could?
What I should have done is I should have seen a person come around the corner and just kind of stayed in the game. That's what anybody else would have done. Anybody else would have just stayed in the game. They're focused on the game. They don't even realize there are people walking around, right? But the fact that I saw him and then looked at him, and the fact that he saw me and looked at me as two professionals on opposite sides of the
God, this feels like a role play. This feels like an exercise that
playing field. We both made the same mistake. We both made the mistake of showing our recognition to our intended target.
And before we continue, you, as far as your alias was in that country, you were called Alex Hernandez, right?
Correct.
And you were running a business called...
Oh. Here's my cover name.
Acme Commercial?
Correct.
What was Acme Commercial supposed to be doing as a company?
Acme Commercial was a company that was built to source new disposable goods from foreign countries for transport and distribution across Western countries.
And the intelligence services build a lot of fake businesses, you said.
Yes, it's the easier it is to build a business, the easier it is to collect information. So what we've discovered is that just as anybody with $127 in their pocket can create an LLC, that's about how much money it takes to start an intelligence operation.
It says that the CIA operates...
I mean, that's not even common sense. Common sense. To build that cover doesn't take... I mean, I get it. I guess he's trying to say it as a flourish, but when you start adding this shit up...
Numerous fake companies.
The CIA also operates numerous real companies too.
Not just the CIA. I mean, every intel organization has commercial fronts. Every intel organization.
The CIA.
I mean, look at their fucking eyes. This bitch is fucking whacked out on fucking goofballs. Whoa.
And has commercial fronts. Every intel organization.
The CIA operates real companies. What does that mean?
There are real companies out there owned and operated by CIA. In-Q-Tel is one of those companies. It's a investment vehicle where CIA invests money and invests in new technology, and all the technology that goes through In-Q-Tel knows that it's going through to CIA.
Okay, that's public though, right?
Correct.
But the ones that aren't public, so the CIA will create a company, and then they will use that company to pretend to be doing something in a foreign land, basically.
But the primary mission is...
I mean, the guy interviewing them, the actor they're paying to pretend to be an actual podcaster, interviewing them, his eyes don't seem like theirs.
Intelligence. This is one of the most fascinating things, not only about CIA, but about all of your first world intelligence organizations. You've heard of what's known as the black budget. The black budget is the budget of discretionary money that can't...
No, it's not discretionary. What?
Be spent on military and intelligence operations that isn't tied to the taxpayer. So it's a giant pot of money that isn't tied to tax money.
So your claim is the CIA is running self-funded operations, which, you know, Swordfish, right? Remember that movie?
So where does that money come from? Part of that money comes from anytime law enforcement or intelligence agencies seize assets. We seize cryptocurrency, we seize drugs, we seize child pornography, right? When we seize that money...
Cracker.
And we use it for other operations, that's part of the black budget. The other part of the black budget is when an intelligence organization creates a business and that business turns a profit. When that business turns a profit, where does the profit go? It can't go to the case officer. That person's being paid on the US payroll. So all that profit goes into the black budget.
Do you think the CIA has some big profitable businesses that are set up as fronts that just like went really, really well?
I know it does.
Really?
I know it does. The CIA has businesses that it's set up.
First of all, why would you know? Why would you need to know? It's not, you don't, again, I was never a CIA, so I don't know. Maybe part of their onboarding process was, oh, here is all the secret shit we do. Here, read the binder. It's all right there. It's all the secret shit we do.
That have gone wildly profitable. CIA also has officers that built these businesses that then were like, why the fuck am I at CIA? And then they leave CIA and they go on to run businesses instead.
Wow. All right. That's pretty goddamn amazing. Pretty motherfucking amazing. Oh yeah, 2 hours and 32, just shy of 33 minutes, which goes with 34 good motherfuckers watching. I'm sure we got some, because, you know, now we're tapping into secret squirrel CIA stuff. We probably got.
Oh my holy crap. Surveillance does. I hate those.
I'm trying to give you guys a place to come.
Honey, I'm home. Had that meeting with the gangster.
I don't know. Just threw that one in there. Hadn't used it in a bit. All right. Me and the hair. All right, guys. I mean, it fucking seems like it. It seems like it. I did get a haircut. I did. Actually, I got them all cut. Well, most of them. Somehow it still turned into, it looks like I have, I don't know. Anyway. All right, perfect. I don't know. Oh, this one's early and it's a holiday. All right, everybody have a good weekend. Oh, here, sorry, let me roll out with this. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this guy. This guy is fun. I have a fun time. Fucking, don't give this dude your money. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want to, I guess if you fucking want to, but I don't know why you would. All right, everybody, be good.
I want you to take the Frankenstein shit, the deer shit, the green monster, the bling, and the bling bling. And I want you to roll it all into one joint.
Which kills.
Here.
I'm good.
Racist.
No one's ever been brave enough to try that.
One man is. Roll it.
Not feeling super confident about this plan.
Here. Racist.
I'll smoke it with you, bro. We'll go to the loony bin together. I don't give a fuck.